What's up, guys? I'm Quigley, and this is the video that we're gonna look back on in a few years or in a few months and go, wow, this is where I started? Yeah, that'll work. Blooper alert! What's up, YouTube? Welcome back. I'm Quigley, and we're here today to review the NVIDIA 2080 Super. Let's go, shall we?
Alright guys, so here it is, the MSI GeForce RTX 2080 Super. I'm super excited and pumped to open this thing up. I can't even tell you guys right now. We are hype on my stream and I feel the hype right now. So let's jump right into this. Let's open this thing up, shall we? So here's an MSI little pamphlet. I'm assuming that it's all the documentation and everything on the inside. Pretty nifty. They really spent some money on the packaging of this thing, that's for sure. What we got? Thank you for purchasing an MSI product. Okay, this is what matters. Let's get into this. Oh my gosh, this thing is an animal. Holy cow, look at the size of this thing, guys. This thing is enormous, dude. I'm a little concerned that my case might not be able to hold this thing. I don't know. It should be able to. I mean, I have a huge case, so Alienware is no joke. But let's open this thing up, huh? Oof. Look at that. Dual fans, 8 gigs. This thing is going to be an animal. I can tell by the quality build that it's nice. I did read some reviews that people were skeptical on the build quality. I don't know why, but this thing, listen, I'm in quality. I've done aircraft inspection for many, many years, and I'm telling you right now, this thing is not cheaply made whatsoever. This thing is a beast. It's heavy duty. It is not light. Maybe it's light comparison to its predecessor, but this thing, let me tell you, I'm excited to throw this thing up on in the rig. This is the back side of it here, guys, with the MSI branding on there, as you can see. And we'll just be able to plug this thing right on into, it's got a nice little cap on there for protection of the PCI Express. And we'll be able to plug this thing right in. Let's go see how she performs, shall we? And we don't want to forget, I almost forgot, we don't want to forget our Vengeance RGB Pro, our 32 gigs of RAM, right? This is at 3200 megahertz, guys, DDR4. I've already got 2 sticks of this inside of the system as it is. And we're gonna upgrade this to a whopping 64 gigs of RAM. Now people, there's always this debate. Do you need it? Do you not need it? Do you really need it? No. Do we want it? Yes. And I'll tell you why. Because as a mixer streamer out in the community, I love to support other streamers. I love to support the community as a whole. So anybody that, I wanna support, I have to open up a window for them at a minimum. And at any given time, you can have multiple windows open. And let me tell you, Chrome is a absolute RAM eater. And I've tested out the likings of, Microsoft Edge, the Internet Explorer. I've tried Firefox. I've tried Opera. I've tried, you name it, right? I've tried all these web browsers and not one of them is lacking or is less consuming in the eating up of your RAM. So if you really want to, multitask and have those Chrome tabs open while you're streaming, while you're trying to monitor what you're doing, while you're gaming, I'm gonna tell you right now, 64 gigs of RAM is the way to go. Let me also add that if you have a clear case, dude, these things, I'm telling you right now, they glow and they are beautiful, they're gorgeous, they have that nice accent to them. The RGB colors are beautiful. You guys will not be disappointed with this stick, I promise. Again, these are made by Corsair, they're Vengeance RGB Pros, 32 gigs, and right here is where you would get that RGB beautiful lighting. We'll have to show you that later on in the video. Let's go slap these in the rig, shall we?
So let's give you guys an example of what's happening with my 1070 as I am using my Alienware Aurora R7 as a single stream PC while also gaming on it. Now, mind you, it works really good with the Xbox with the Elgato HD60 that I have installed into it. However, when you're using the PC for gaming as well as streaming, you're going to run into issues for obvious reasons. And those obvious reasons being you're putting simply more strain on your CPU and your GPU. So let's dive right into it. I think the best way to show you guys this is to go right into the task manager. Here's the task manager. This is what's running right now on the PC. I did pull up StreamLabs. This is how I'm recording right now this YouTube video, and it's going to replicate the same thing. I have the settings set the same way for recording as I do for when I stream. Obviously, the only difference there's going to be is the bit rate, which if you guys have questions or answers on bitrate settings, you guys are more than welcome to leave those down in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer them, okay? So right now we're running at 39% memory to 40% memory. You can see this. And this is a 32 gig setup. So I have 32 gigs of memory, and you can see that RAM is essential when it comes to streaming, especially if you're using something to monitor your online stream, such as Chrome. It really does eat into your memory. CPU, I have an i7, a Core i7 8700. So it's not the top of the line CPU, but it is a higher grade of CPU. And it does a fine job for what it is. It's just not giving us the power that we need to be streaming on a single PC, right? So that's why I chose to go with the RTX 2080 Super. StreamLabs OBS worked really closely with NVIDIA on producing the NVENC encoding for streaming to your GPU as opposed to your X264, which is using your CPU. So right now you can see that we're running at about 20% GPU usage, and we're not even fired up into a game yet. Same with the CPU. Now the CPU I'm not too entirely concerned about at this point because depending on the game that you're using and what type of aliasing you're using, the CPU, yeah, you're going to get probably another 20% usage out of it, depending on the title that you're playing. But it's really your GPU that you really want to, keep an eye on. Especially with the settings that you have in StreamLabs OBS, depending on your settings, you could tip the scales to your CPU if you're doing the X264. I recommend using the NVENC, using your GPU, and just lowering your graphics within whichever game title that you're looking to play and stream on. So let's fire this up and show you guys what kind of stats we're getting when we fire up Overwatch. All right, so we're rocking at 60 frames per second, which is a perfect setting for if you're streaming 1080p, 60 FPS. You want your game to be running at whatever FPS that you're streaming at. Otherwise, it could induce some form of lag or frame skipping while streaming, and it will just produce a bad quality of stream for your viewers. Let's head on over to our options section here and show you guys what we have going on real quick. So we have our resolution set to the same. I did lower it down to 60 megahertz refresh rate. So as you can see right here, running the GTX 1070. I did do a limit on FPS down to the 60 FPS cap, just because we were experiencing some frame drops while we were streaming at 1080p 60 frames per second. The graphics quality is set to medium. I had to reduce the graphics quality down to medium in order to get a semi-smooth stream. And I'll show you what I mean by semi-smooth. This is the maximum settings that we can run on a GTX 1070 while streaming through StreamLabs. I've spent multiple hours and days troubleshooting with multiple different companies, multiple different personnel that are experienced in this field, as well as myself. With that being said, we'll jump right back over into a training session. And here's where you're going to see some of that lag a little bit, right? You can see how some of the frames, when you go to select a different character, they're going to bounce around just a little bit. Now, mind you, I've set this to optimum settings, and I found that medium was the best while capping my frame rate at 60 FPS. But every time we switch over to a graphically intense character, you'll see that D.Va kind of lags just a little bit. it's not too bad. Like I said, these are the settings that I'm using to stream on, but we're really going to be able to, I feel, up the level of quality of the stream when we go into that RTX 2080 and be able to play this game the way it's supposed to be played. So let's jump into some action here so that you guys can see what's going on. Made a liar out of me. We can actually just come right over to the hero gallery. Can we go to the hero gallery? Okay, so in the hero selection, you can see that it's not too bad. Go to options. I did have to turn off anti-aliasing, by the way, guys. So when you go into advanced here, you're going to see that the anti-aliasing quality is set to really low. So I did not turn it off, but I had to turn it way down. Again, I believe it's just the medium settings, nothing too customized here. But the second that we go up to even high, we have to do a restart real quick. See, so I switched up to high, and you're starting to see that lag jump, right? Like I said, I had to set everything down to medium, and the medium seemed to really be the sweet spot for the GTX 1070. The medium setting was the sweet spot for the GTX 1070. Now, we're going to see some major lag when we jump into the game, and I'm not even streaming at this point, so there's no bitrate coming in or out. This is simply recording with the same settings that I have while I stream. You guys can definitely see the dropping frames. I'm getting around 37 FPS. I will actually swing my slobs over here just to kind of show you guys what's going on. And it says that we're currently streaming offline, right? Our CPU is still looking really good at 5.4%, but we've had 16% of frames that were lost or skipped over the last 2 minutes. It's definitely not good. It's not going to be good for viewership, and you're not going to have a smooth, clean stream. We're not even in-game yet. I'll give you a few samples of what in-game could look like by giving you guys some of this up-close action across the screen. And you can really see the frame drops now. And this is not even in a team fight. Now, mind you, while I'm playing the game is still running smooth. Okay? This is all about the stream itself. So even though it's displaying on the stream, on this screen, you can see really, really bad frame drop right now. So let's get back out of this and leave this game. Go back to options, and we can turn this back to medium. And that was just setting it to high, guys. So let's go over to the NVIDIA RTX 2080 Super, and let's see what that thing brings to the table while doing a side-by-side comparison with Overwatch. Okay, so here we are after the installation of the NVIDIA RTX 2080 Super. And how we can find out that everything was installed properly and everything's working properly. Not only did your computer fire up and you have visuals on your screen, but you can deep dive into that by simply going over to your start menu, right-clicking, going over to System, just like so. And here you'll see that the installed RAM that we took and put in, the extra 32 gig, bumped us up to 64 gig. And you can always go into System Info, where you'll also see your installed memory and RAM, just to confirm that everything was installed properly and functioning. You can go over to Device Manager, and underneath Display Adapters, you will see here the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 2080 Super, and it's been installed and functioning properly. So before we get into any testing, I headed on over to the NVIDIA website where I automatically know to go ahead and download the GeForce experience for the graphics card as well as any updated drivers. So once we do that, we'll jump right into the testing with Overwatch. All right, guys, I'm opening up Task Manager right now. We're gonna take a look at this real quick. I'm running slobs right now. And right now it looks like we're running at 17% GPU usage without running a game at the moment. our memory jumped down to 16%, and that has a lot to do with the big bump up to the 64 gig of RAM that we introduced. And our CPU sitting around 25% still. But again, I don't plan on using my CPU to stream. So the load is going to come from the game itself, which it should not topple us over 70%, I hope. And yeah, we're going to go with the full NVENC. That's again the reason why we bought the RTX 2080 Super. And right now it's looking very promising as we're sitting at only 17% GPU usage. Let's dive right into Overwatch and let's see what we look like. So again, guys, as we enter this game, I just want you guys to be reassured that we did not mess with any of the game settings after switching it back to that normal. Okay, so I take that back. It looks like it auto applied settings when I did the NVIDIA GeForce experience, and it updated the graphics for me. So what we're going to do is we're going to apply this back down to medium. Resolution, I don't think has anything to do with the output during a stream. We have to restart, guys. Okay, so here we go. We are back into Overwatch and we're taking a look at the options. We did go back down to medium. We need to limit our FPS to custom and go down to 60. I don't know if we can up this now with this new RTX. It's going to be something that I'm going to have to play with. But again, this is going to be a side-by-side comparison just to give you guys an idea of how much more powerful this 2080 Super is than that old GTX 1070. We're going to leave the settings the same so that we can get you guys a side-by-side comparison of just how much more powerful that 2080 RTX really is over that 1070. So we'll go into training and we'll just go into practice range just to give you guys an idea. Same thing as before. I believe it switched us into full screen mode too. Let me switch to that because that does play. If you guys don't know this, playing in full screen mode is going to drastically increase your FPS and drop your resources needed for your GPU. So we're going to go into borderless window because that's what I like to use while I stream and while I game at the same time because it makes it easier while I have my 3-monitor display going. Okay, so nothing that we wouldn't expect to see here, guys. Looking pretty solid, pretty stable. We're running at our 60 FPS. Is we're capping that limit too. But my word, can I tell you that I feel a difference? I can feel a difference in the gameplay without even changing any settings. This is incredible. I cannot wait to see where we're at, guys. And mind you, I do want to show you right now, while we're running this, we are running 45 GPU, 45% GPU, as opposed to that 70 to 80% that we're running with the GTX 1070. So again, our CPU is holding good at 42%. Again, I'm running a Core i7 8700. I really didn't think it was necessary to upgrade, and I'm glad I didn't waste the extra money. I just pocketed $600, and now I plan to use it into my audio. Our memory is staying really solid. Very happy to see a 21% memory usage there, as prior to even that 32 gig, it was quite consuming. All right, while we're recording here, let's go into our settings and let's upgrade this and see if we get any frame drops. Let's see how far we can push this thing, shall we? I'm going to say display-based FPS at this point. Graphics quality, I think it was set to ultra, believe it or not, when we came into it. So we're going to put it back to ultra. We're going to apply, exit the desktop, and give it a whirl. Now, as we're loading back into here to see the ultra settings, some of you guys might be asking yourselves, why did he pick Overwatch as the game comparison between the graphics cards? Let me tell you, Overwatch, for some reason, is a big strain on any GPU out there. I've had more problems with Overwatch while streaming and gaming than I've had with the new Modern Warfare that just came out, Warzone. Haven't had any problems with that. This is a big problem. So I figured, why not use the game that's the most heaviest to put a strain on the GPUs and see how they perform. All right, so now we're sitting in ultra settings. We'll go back into training. We'll go back to the practice range, and we're going to leave the settings again within StreamLabs the same that they've always been, and we're going to give it a whirl and see how this performs. As you can see, we are getting some frame drops. We're sitting around 54 frames per second, and we're not even in game yet. Guys, we are holding pretty solid. I do see a few frame drops here and there. We're still holding 60 FPS. I don't know if it took a second for it to really catch up or what's going on, but it seems like we're holding solid right now. Our GPU is currently running at around 86%. It's fluctuating between 80 and 86% usage right now while we stream and record and game all at the same time. Okay, so this is at ultra settings. I honestly don't see any problems whatsoever as we're streaming. This is really, really promising. If you guys are looking at getting into an RTX, I'm going to have to put a bust on whoever out there says that the RTX is just a waste of money. This is proof that it is not. I stepped it up. Again, did I go up from, I guess it would have been a 2070 RTX, is the comparable to the GTX 1070. I decided to upgrade to the RTX 2080 just because the price point right now with things being on sale, it just seemed practical, best bang for buck. And I can't say that I'm disappointed in my choice here. So just because I tabbed out, I guess it did drop a little bit, but this is sitting at around 80% GPU usage, whereas we were getting that in medium settings, and here we upgraded to ultra. So I'm pretty sure if you wanted to just game without recording, I am pretty sure that you can set this to the max settings and be completely fine if you're just looking to game and not stream at the same time. You have to remember that OBS is putting quite the strain on the GPU as well, running at almost 15% consistently, whereas Overwatch, the actual application, is only running 45%. So it's safe to say that you guys could definitely bump this thing up while not having to record or stream.
All right, so conclusion. After everything is said and done, this thing, we did have some modifications to make, even within the Alienware, for as big of a case as it was. We did have to move down our Elgato HD60 graphics card down one slot to the 8-pin slot. It says ×4 ×8, right? So you have a mini and a full-size express slot. So we had to move it down to the 8 slot where a secondary graphics card would technically be, but this did fit in the case. It does take the extra power port as well. The amount of encoding that the RTX takes off the load of your CPU, and it works really well with StreamLabs and OBS. It's tenfold of a GTX. I currently, or previously, had the GTX 1070. You guys know this. We had to take that thing out, replace it with the RTX to give you guys a side-by-side comparison while playing Overwatch. Now, even though this is our first time reviewing, I hope that you guys liked the video. I hope that you guys got something from it. This is really putting a kibosh on those videos out there that are talking ill of the RTX and that it's not really worth it. If you're a streamer and you're trying to stream on a single PC, this is a must buy. Now, you have to go to the 2080 Super in order to get the performance. I probably, would say no. I think that if you went with the low end, even the 2060, 2070, you're still going to see an improvement over that of the GTX as far as the streaming and gaming on the single PC side of things, So do I recommend buying the RTX? Absolutely. It boosted my performance tenfold. My resources are nil, even while gaming and streaming at the same time. I've had 0 dropped frames since then, and My viewers have even told me that they've seen a huge jump in the crispness of our streams. So with that, this is our review. If you guys like the review, please leave a comment down below, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Always remember to click on that little bell, and you know, we'll see you in the next review. Later, guys.